There we are. This is the Resonance Tetralogy. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 5 books in a 4-book series because this one was accidental. Hi everyone, welcome to my books. Now, a lot of people who watch me stream may not know that I'm an author, even though I talk about my books and on my social media pages, and I have my books advertised at the end of my VOD, or at least I have the website linked to the end of my VOD. I write young adult fantasy books. I've had a series called the Resonance Tetralogy, which I started back in 2010. I self-published it on Amazon Kindle, and then it got picked up by my publisher Inspired Quill, who then printed or published the first edition in print in 2013. And this is the book that I started with. This is Legacy. This is the very first one. You can see the apologies for the slightly potato quality. I'm using an old webcam, but you can see it there. So this cover art was done by Minna Sundberg. This is Furry, the main character. This is Tiernan. Here we have Aaron and Kairu, and also the reflection by Ringlight. Ooh. Anyway, this is the book that started it. This was the funny thing about Legacy is that initially, when I conceptualized this, I was very into Zoid's Chaotic Century, and initially it was going to be a sort of desert punk planet where these people unlocked powers that would transform them into gigantic mechanical animals. And I'd always been obsessed with animals. I'd always been obsessed with the idea of people turning into animals. I watched Visionaries when I was young. That was a series that was very formative for me. My favorite character was Ectarx. He turned into a fox. I liked foxes. I liked Disney's Robin Hood. Animals. And people animals too, more so. But anyway, yeah, the idea was that these people were going to turn into giant mechanical animals in order to fight. And while I was planning it, I had only designated the characters in my head by the animal that they turned into and the color. So there was there was green wolf, I think, white fox, black shark, or something like that, and then blue tiger. But anyway, it took me months to realize that while I was planning all this and while I was defining them by the animals, I could just make them animals. So initially it was still intended to be a kind of a deserty planet. So there was going to be there was always some sort of apocalypse going on. But anyway, eventually it morphed into this. And a lot of these scenes came together because I was listening to the Zoid soundtrack, what are the soundtracks that I listened to at the time? Bits of Digimon soundtrack. There were other anime soundtracks I listened to. I think I had the Pokemon background music. And then eventually I got into Naruto. And then it was what really hit me, what really started inspiring me for stuff like this with the Naruto Shippuden soundtrack. A couple of scenes came together really quick. Oh yeah, Samurai X as well, which is the Rurouni Kenshin OVA. That was not really very good. It was a little bit too serious, but the music for that was spectacular. It's by Taka Iwasaki. And then there's a couple of bits from that have really stuck with me. So I'm going to read you a blurb from this to get you an idea of what the story is actually about. However, the blurb I'm going to read you is slightly different from the one that is on the print version because we were going to submit changes to the blurb at the back of the book and then they didn't go through for some reason. So I'm going to read you the summary of the story that I would like you to know. But if you buy the book, it's still effectively the same story. I have editor brain. I want to read you the blurb as it is intended to be. This is for Legacy. This is the first book in the series. If you want to start, you can start with this one. You could also feasibly start with book 3. Either of those would work fine, but this is the one that is intended to start with. Okay. Her power is unmeasured. Her abilities untested. Her destiny inescapable. Faria Farako, daughter of Zayal's emperor, is a resonator, one who uses crystals to manipulate elements of nature. She and her father guard their extraordinary, secret ability with their lives. But with such amazing power comes danger in equal measure. Crimson-scaled Draga have discovered a mysterious relic they claim is from the mythical, eons-lost city of Nazriel. Malicious and relentless, They pummel Zayal to find Faria and rip more of Nazriel's secrets from her. Zayal ablaze and her father missing, Faria must rely on her inner strength to brave a world that attacks her at every turn. Friends and guardians rally for her quest to save her father and reveal the mysteries of the ruined city Nazriel. But the dark legacy of an ancient cataclysm wraps its claws around her fate and her past. She soon realizes this is not the beginning, nor anywhere near the end. A titanic war spanning thousands of years unfolds around her, one that could yet cost the lives of everyone on Eris. Legacy is character-driven epic fantasy action forged in an exciting and intricate plot that reaches deep into the Resonance world history. I didn't write that last bit, but that's the bit the blurb that you have to put on the bit to make you buy the book. There's the bit that I write that is the summary, and there's the bit that the publisher goes, you have to know what this is. My editor is very good at knowing what publishers need. I'm not. I write what I want, mostly. Yes, so that is the first book. It is the story of Faria, who is the fox on the front. She has elemental powers she controls with her staff here. You can see, I would give you a clearer picture if the light wasn't so blinding. Oh, that's actually, if that wasn't such a horrible angle. There we go. Okay, so you can see the crystal that she holds there is glowing. That's because it has these crystals come from the moon, just like in the Sonic real-time fandom. Not related to, there's no related to things that happen on the moon in those things. But yes, she is a resonator, which is a manipulator of the elements. It's a little bit like Avatar: The Last Airbender meets Redwall, I guess. Redwall is not the biggest of my literary influences. There is actually a better mice book that I prefer, which is called the Deptford Mice trilogies, the Deptford Histories, by Robin Jarvis. I very much recommend those. They had a very, very big influence on me when I was younger. I read those books many, many times, while I only really read each Redwall book once, except for Mossflower, I think, which I read twice, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But yes, this is the first book. This is Legacy. It's very pretty. It's published by Inspired Court, and you can get it right now. I can put this back over here. This is the second book in this series. This is Fracture. Ooh, big pangolin. This pangolin is called Alaris, and next to him is an ocelot called Bayer. And these two both appear in Legacy, but they are sort of secondary characters. They're more minor characters than now in this. They're made primary characters, and I love them because I love pangolins. I discovered pangolins during the course of writing... Was it writing this? When I was writing Digimon fanfiction, I was looking for ways to improve on Armadillomon's evolution because I didn't like that he turned into a teapot. So I searched for armadillos and tried to see what different things were like, and I discovered pangolins, and they are wonderful, beautiful creatures. So I put Alaris in. He is the captain of a city called Andarn, captain of the guard. You can see he's got lots of dented armor. This cover, by the way, is by the incredible Eskiworks, Katie Hofgaard, an amazing artist that you should follow and support and buy things from. She has a coffee shop that you can buy. I think she's got some t-shirts running on pre-order right now. But yes, and Fracture is the second book. This one is a little bit more reliant on events that happen in the first book. So if you get this one first, some things may not make sense, and it will be a little bit of a spoiler for the first book. And should I read? Yeah, I'm going to read the blurb for the second one. Confront the past for the sake of the future. Months after the tremors that shook the world, repercussions of battle still lie in Zayal's broken streets. Among the debris stands Bayer, former bodyguard to Faria, Empress of the city-state. His position redundant and his injuries still healing, he struggles to find new purpose. Unrest between nations is already stirring. A councillor from Andarn has been murdered, and only a handful realise that sinister machinations are blackening the route of the whole continent. Questioning his duties, Bayer finds himself escorting Captain Alaris on a mission from which neither may return, although their failure may spark a brutal and catastrophic war. As blades rise, threats both new and old emerge from the darkness and bare their teeth at the world. Grr. Yeah. This is the one that actually, kind of out of all of them, was sort of the hardest to write. It was a lot of political intrigue. I was worried about pacing, and this started out, actually... Legacy, when I first wrote Legacy, was going to be like 120 to 150,000 words long. It was going to have this whole other side story where a group of traveling musicians got entwined in everything that was going on accidentally, and this was going to be a story that followed them, and there was going to be a massive sword-wielding raccoon who also had elemental powers, who I will probably still include in another story later, that... it was going to be a very different kind of story, and it wasn't really related to the plot lines that were going on. But this actually has this is a sequential story, and this will have repercussions as going on in the story. It is caused by the events of the first book. It's very good. I'm very pleased with how it came out. It was inspired a lot by animes such as Fullmetal Alchemist and One Piece, particularly the Alabasta arc in One Piece, because the ideas of conspiracies were put into a very digestible form in that. I was like, I understand how they work, and also, I don't want them. So, but yes, this is a very good book. It's a little bit darker than the first one, but I'm very pleased with it, and this is the second book. I thought I had something more to say about it. This is one that was inspired more, not just by those animes, but also by some of the Robin Jarvis books. The Deptford Histories books were some of the first ones where I had experienced a character death without expecting it. And that was something that I had taken with me as you read the books. People are not safe. I love them all. However, some things have to happen. So we have... the stakes are raised in this in a socio-political kind of way, and yes, there it is, my fracture. All the rest of the covers are done by Katie Hofgaard, by the way. You can see them. There's above here and over there. There's all the ones over there. Now, this book number 3 is Ruin's Dawn. Look at this. This, I think, of all of them, might be the one I am most... it still might just be my favourite of all the books. Edge of Ascension has the ending that means the most to me, because it is the culmination of the entire story. But I think with the story progression and the tightness of the plot, I think Ruin's Dawn just pips it to the post for me. So this storyline is one that I had written through Legacy. You find out the basics of what happens in this during Legacy. This is a prequel. And one of the things that really did influence me about Remnant when I read the Redwall series was that the very second book, Mossflower, was a prequel. And I thought it was amazing that you could have a prequel in the middle of the story that you were telling. And I thought that was great because it meant that you could arrange information that you give to the reader in a way that made it more dramatic, that raised the stakes of the final climax. And so that's what I wanted for this, and I'm really, really pleased with this one. This here is Aiden. This is Aiden Ferraco. This is Faria's dad. He looked very angry, and you can see his stuff that he's holding there is the same one that Faria has on the cover of Legacy. And this is Osiris, who is a griffin. And he's actually in all the books. He might be one of the only characters that is in every single book with a speaking role. So he does very well through it. So, Ruin's Dawn. I want to hear everything, Osiris. All that you can tell me. In the desert town of Mare, a young fox is about to discover his power. A single bolt of crystal energy begins Aiden's journey, one that will test him to his furthest limits and deepest loyalties. The griffin Osiris takes Aiden under his wing, and together they battle shadows and suspicion to bring warring nations to the pinnacle of invention and prosperity, the new city Nazriel. but not every creature strives for a bright and industrious future. Conflict is an unsteady foundation for the burgeoning metropolis. The launch of 1,000 incredible dreams plants the seed for an immeasurable disaster that even Aiden and his friends do not have the power to prevent. This is the story of Nazriel's ascension and the end of the world. Oh, isn't it cool? I wrote that. Yay. I'm excited by these things. So now this story happened accidentally. This is Remnant's Hope. This is another wonderful cover by Katie Hofgaard. Sorry, my arm is doing funny things. It's another beautiful cover by Katie Hofgaard. Actually, the most recent cover to be drawn, because when I knew I was having 4 books, when I needed the other 3 covers, I wanted to make sure that they were all consistent. So I asked Katie if we could do all of the rest of them at once. So Fracture, Ruins Dawn, and Edge of Ascension were all done in sequence, and they were also all done back in 2016. So the Edge of Ascension cover, which I'll talk about in a minute, it's a little bit apocryphal to the events of the story because I had to change it. But this is beautiful. This character, my creaky, silly webcam does not do justice to how gorgeous this looks. This is Elissa, a character who was introduced in Ruins Dawn. And Remnant's Hope happened accidentally because I had a lot of chapters that were cut from Fracture that focused on Baya's backstory. Baya is the ocelot here. And I realized that I wanted to still publish that story. However, it was cut from Fracture because it was affecting the pacing too much. They would have... it would have made the book too long and it would have disrupted the tension for the main story arc. So I started to work on other stories that would fit in with either alongside it, and sort of themed them around the ideas of perseverance and hope. So this has 5? I can check actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, this has 5 stories in it of varying lengths, all of which tie into the main Resonance Tetralogy storyline, featuring characters from throughout its various eras. And it's very, very pretty. I like the purple. I have a feeling there was something else I was going to say, but I've forgotten it because I looked at Elissa and all my thoughts ran out of my head. Cannot tell you how stunning this art is, how good it is. An evening, a limb, a country, a world. As each shatter, lives are forever altered and the consequences ripple beyond imagination. Legacies of the past and the catalyst for an uncertain, fractured future. These are the stories of what is left behind. Between the ruins of the past and the dawn of the new beginnings, discover tales of renewal, transformation, relentless struggles, kindred souls, and the enduring ache of loss. Remnant's Hope collects tales from across the Resonance Tetralogy timeline, revealing previously untold dramatic, emotional, and heartfelt histories of both well-loved characters and newfound heroes. Amidst these fragments, a beacon sparks to life. A glimmer of something both fleeting and timeless. Hope. I get very excited by these, as you can tell. This one is a little bit thinner than the others, which I hadn't anticipated, but it's still good. There's still lots of story in here. Just because it has a little bit less pages doesn't mean there's less emotions, and I certainly have a lot. So now this is the final book in this series. This is Edge of Ascension. This is coming out on October 3rd, 2025 this year. You can pre-order it now, and you can. The rest of these are available to ship immediately. This will be out in a couple of weeks, but you can literally order the entire set now. Look at all these lovelies. So, when I initially commissioned this book cover, I had a different idea for how the story was going to end. And this was going to be depicting a lot of this final, like the precursor to this final battle. But it didn't work out that way because I decided, well, I needed to change the story to make it less. I was trying to construct too much to make it like this, where I just needed to write the story that I needed to write. So, but it is incredibly dramatic. I love it. I love this pose, and it still pictures the energy that I have. I've always loved fantasy artwork that displays all the characters being, you know, in that dramatic way. I got, when I would go around bookstores, because I used to do that when I was younger, going around Waterstones in the UK and looking at all the fantasy covers, and I would kind of make my eyes unfocus, and I would look to see what books still caught my eye, even if I couldn't see them as such. And all of the ones that I saw had color. I don't want any of this, like, you know, black book, gold text, one stock photo crap. I want to see the characters. I want to know the world I'm going to be in. I know that you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but when you can have a cover like this, why would you not? Why would you not give an artist work to make something beautiful that has come from your head and is now on a page, and you can hold it and stroke it and love it and kiss it? You know, this is all wonderful. Look, I would smooch every single one of those. Look at them all. Beautiful creatures. But yes, this is the final book. I got very emotional writing this because these characters have been with me for 13 years in publicity, 19 years since I actually started writing it in earnest, because I took a notepad with me when I went by myself to Anime Expo 2006. I flew all the way from London to Los Angeles. It was a bit of a mistake. However, I made it, and I spent a lot of my time in my hotel room feeling lonely and writing my story. So when I finally started getting it down, this, from July 2006 to October 2025, this is the journey of my characters, from scribbles to print to ink, and now into the heads of the wonderful people who have been reading them. It still bewilders me sometimes that these exist in the way they do, and they are actually here because they have been in my head for such a long time that it's hard to imagine them. I don't have to think about it anymore, and it's not that I don't, it's not that I won't, because there are still some stories that I may yet write with these. And actually there's a side story that my amazing, wonderful wolfie friend Sav and I are writing that is set in the Resonance world. You know, and there is at least one other story that I want to write, and actually two other stories. So there may yet be another book, but however, in terms of the main storyline, it's done. And I'm still, I think, coming to terms with that this is 20 years of work in here, in all these books. And that I still remember when my younger sister, who is also an artist that you can follow, Chocolate Raisin Fury, when she, as a Christmas present, commissioned one of her artist friends to draw my characters from a concept document that she very sneakily stole from my computer, and showed them to me at Christmas. I cannot tell you how much that changed my need to see these created. And that is why you can't underestimate the value of art, what it means on a personal level, not just what you see, but what it means to have it given to you, to have it represent something that did not exist, that now exists. This is the power of art. And art is also writing, and I have to tell myself that. I sometimes decry my own writing because I'm so used to it that I don't think it's anything special. But writing is so important. It is valuable, it's vital, it can change worlds, it can change people just in the same way that art can. I think they are both incredibly wonderful, vital processes, and I will fight for them every day of my life. And I feel very, very lucky that I've been able to find so many words and shove them into some kind of order that has had this now come from it. This is about, in total, this is probably about 500,000 words ish, 400 to 500,000 words, which is quite a lot. That's many words. Some are the same, but they're all in different orders. But anyway, yes, the Edge of Ascension, the final dramatic climax of the main Resonance storyline. We got very sidetracked. Okay. I will now read you the blurb from Edge of Ascension. Empress Faria has returned to the Senate to continue and protect her father's legacy, but she is far from welcome. When the ancient city of Nazriel's secrets now are the open. With the ancient city of Nazriel's secrets now in the open, aggressive forces are moving in to stake their claim. Branded a political delinquent, she walks a knife edge to guard her sovereign and fulfill the promise of peace. But quickly the blade is twisted and she is forced to fight for her friends, Nazriel, and her life. A climactic storm begins to rise. The last battle to end a 2,000-year conflict of world-destroying stakes, converging on the beleaguered lost city with Faria as its shield, one final time. She cannot afford to fail. When Nazriel falls, Resonance ends. Oh, yeah. This went through a number of different titles as well. I couldn't work out what I wanted to call it. This was almost called... it was almost called Resonance Ends, or End of Resonance. I was going to call it... I have a whole list of discarded names for this in one of my writing documents somewhere. But here it is, Edge of Ascension. There's a reason why it's called what it is. I think it works really well. And these are the books. All my lovely, lovely books. I should turn them so they're in a more like visible format for you. Hurrah! Oh, my penguin. There we are. This is the Resonance Tetralogy. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 5 books in a 4-book series because this one was accidental. But these are technically, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is the Resonance Tetralogy, technically, and this is Tales of Resonance. So I haven't quite broken like the naming convention. These are the main 4. You could technically get away without reading this, but I love this, and I love the things that are in here. And reading this will give you more it builds on these, and it gives you some of the information that will make this more dramatic. So these are my books. Thank you very much. If you want to buy them, you can go to www.inspired-quill.com. They are available in ebook and print format. You can also buy them online at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. You can probably order them from your local bookstores. I will have links down under this video where you can go and get them. Yes, if you do buy from an indie bookstore, please thank them for me, and thank you for me for doing that. If you want to order them from your local store, they should be able to do it. They'll be available on all the catalogs that you can actually buy, that they buy from their suppliers from, so there shouldn't be any problem getting them. You can ask your library to get them. These are available in my local libraries. They have 1, 2, 3, and Remnant Hope. Libraries are a wonderful resource. I do not mind them being in libraries where you can read them for free. I completely 100% endorse that. I love sharing my work. So if you can get these into libraries, amazing, fantastic. I love you for it. And I love libraries. I hope that if you do read them, that you enjoy them. Obviously, this being written like in 2013, there are some things that I would probably change now. Not like, dramatically problematic stuff, but just little things I would tweak just to make it a little bit more the way I feel about the world and myself, and things I know a little bit more about now is like, oh, okay, I wouldn't. That's not very good. But yeah, I think I read through it a little bit because I've been trying to write a script, adapt a script for it, and it's not as bad as I worried that it was. There's just a couple of bits that stick in my head, but I'm like, no, why? But the rest, I mean, all of it is deeply meaningful to me. If you read it, especially if you like it, thank you. I cannot thank you enough for listening, supporting, for getting excited, for embracing these characters, for being patient with me for some of the things that happen in this that don't get resolved until now. So some of you who have been waiting 12 years for that stuff, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to. Yeah. I'm going to do a more detailed breakdown of each book, which will include some spoilers. Don't watch those, obviously, if you haven't read the book. But it will take me a while to do that, probably. Anyway, thank you very much for your support. You're all wonderful. I will catch you on stream or in my next video. So thank you very much. Bye!